This is a quick overview of the first lab that we'll be doing on springs. And so the instruction sheet tells you to navigate to this website. This is just going to be a simulation of hanging some masses on springs. And you're going to open up this intro like this. And as you can see here, you've got a couple of springs, you've got a few masses here, and what we're going to be doing is hanging the masses on this first spring here. So you can change several things in here. I'm just going to leave everything as the default. Okay, now the idea is we're going to hang a specific mass on the spring, and we're going to measure how much it stretches out. So what I'm going to do, I need a ruler to measure that. So I'm going to go over here to the right, and I'm going to select this ruler, and I'm going to hang on to it, and I'm going to drag it over where I want. Now there's multiple ways that you could do this. I like thinking about, hey, what's the easiest way to do this? So let's just put it about right here. Notice that I have the 0 mark right at the end of the unstretched spring, because we're really interested in how much the spring has stretched once you add the mass on it. So if I start it here, whatever the new reading is will be the amount of stretch. You don't have to do it that way, but that's the way my brain thinks about it. Okay, so then we're going to come over here and we're going to grab, we're going to want to do data points for about 5 different masses. So you can do any kind of combination that you want. I'm going to grab the 50 gram mass and I'm going to hang it on here. You'll notice that it kind of jiggles up and down. You can wait for that to stop, but the easiest way is to pull the cursor up here to the stop sign and just tell it to stop. Hey, knock it off. Okay, now you want to use the end of the unstretched spring to see how far it's stretched to, and you're kind of eyeballing this, so I might guess around maybe 8. It doesn't have to be super exact. We're just kind of getting used to how we're using everything. But what I would do at this point is I would, on a sheet of paper, I would write down that for my mass in grams is 50 grams, and that the amount of stretch that goes with that, these are in centimeters, is about 8 centimeters. Okay, so just record that data point on it, just a scrap sheet of paper, and then we'll do another one. Come over here, grab a different mass. Again, it's going to bounce up and down. You can hit the stop sign to make it stop, and then you're going to read off this new value here that looks maybe sort of 16, around 16. And again, write down what mass you had hanging on there and the stretch that you measure. You're going to continue doing this until you have 5 data points. I'm not going to do that here because I think you have the idea here. Once you have all 5 data points, then you want to come to LoggerPro, and you should have downloaded this already based on the instructions in our D2L course home, but if you haven't, go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and open this. This is just the default setting for when you open LoggerPro, and it's just a really nice, easy way to graph things, and we're going to be using this a lot in the semester. So first of all, I know it's really tempting to click on this first box and start typing stuff in, but it's going to be really helpful for us to label our headings, because then when we go do linear fits and different things like that, all our units will be there for us and easy to work out. You're not going to have to do a lot of thinking. So upfront work is good. So we're going to, this first column will be our mass, right? So I'll say that's our mass. We'll call the short name M, and the units are in grams. And I think that's everything we need for that. And you can see now over here this switches to mass. I'm going to do the same thing for Y. That's going to be my stretch. I'm going to call my short name S, and my units will be centimeters. Okay, so that may seem like a little extra work, but it's really quick, and it's going to make your life much easier later on. So just go ahead and bite that bullet. I'm going to type in some data. It's not necessarily I'm not going to type in what I took earlier. I'm just going to kind of make up some numbers just so you can kind of see. Okay, and I don't know if you can see this in the video, but if you do this in person, when you're looking at the screen, you should be able to see it. I'll click off this last thing here. But there are little dots here that pop up as I'm typing in the data. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change these so that they're a little bit more visible. Okay, so if I go, oh yeah, sorry, here under options, even I have to dig for stuff, and I've used this a lot, so don't worry if you're flailing around a little bit. Okay, so we've got, let's make this a filled circle. It'll be easier to see, and let's make it a different color. Let's make it like dark green, so then we can see it easier. Okay, now you'll notice that it sort of picked this data range so that everything is visible here, but I sort of lose this last point. Up here at the top, there's an auto scale. So if no data is showing up on the screen, you can click auto scale and it'll adjust your scale for you. It still didn't fix this problem that I'm missing this last point. You can sort of see it up here, but I really want it to be visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my scale. So I'm going to click over on the last data point, and I didn't mean to double click, just click on it once and maybe type in 300. You can see that change that scale, and then click on this top one over here on the x-axis. Maybe we'll call that one 75. And now I get a little bit nicer view of the data. I can kind of see all of it. The last thing you're going to do is we're going to do a linear fit. We're hoping this data is linear. You know, data's not perfect. It's never going to fall exactly on a line, especially data that I made up out of my head. But go up to the top, and you're going to pick, you'll notice if you hover over these buttons, they kind of look like what they do, but if you're not sure, you can always hover over them and they'll pop up with what they do. But if you click on linear fit, what it does is it takes your data and finds the best fit line for it. And then in this box, it gives you the information, right? So it tells you what the equation of the line is, what your y-intercept is, what the correlation, all that good stuff. So this is just the stuff that you'll need. The lab's going to ask you some questions about that.